Hello everyone! Today, I will show you a step-by-step tutorial of using your yarn felting needle kit. First, let's take out this materials kit. Inside the toolkit, you'll find two items. These are a wooden felting needle and a piece of wire. The wire is used to help thread the yarn through the felting needle. Take the closed end of the wire and insert it through the small hole at the top of the felting needle. Pull the wire through the back of the felting needle until about 5 centimeters sticks out. Take the yarn you'll be using and pass it through the open end of the wire loop. Then gently pull the wire from the front to thread the yarn through the felting needle. There may be some tiny copper shavings inside the felting needle, as each one is freshly made in our factory for your kit. This can make the inside a bit less smooth at first. To help clear out any remaining shavings, gently pull the yarn back and forth through the needle. Just use the felting needle a few times and it will become smoother. Make sure the yarn always comes out through the rounded tip. When you start felting, leave about 5 centimeters of yarn at the front. Keep the yarn at the back slightly loose. This helps prevent it from getting pulled out while you're working. Once the felting needle is ready, you can start felting. Be sure to keep the wire handy, as you'll need it every time you thread the needle. Now take out the embroidery hoop included in the kit. Then open it up, like this. Simply separate the inner and outer rings, then remove the inner ring. Be careful not to touch or move the hanging hook on the outer ring while doing this. If it's difficult to remove the inner ring, you can apply some firm pressure to take it out. Place the fabric over the inner ring, then fit one side of the inner ring into the outer ring. Press down on the other side with your hand to secure it in place. This way, your embroidery hoop will be properly set up. Once everything is set up, we can start the felting process. So, how do you begin felting? Leave about 5 centimeters of yarn at one end. Keep the yarn at the back as loose as possible. Then, insert the needle at one end along the outer edge of the pattern. Make sure to push the needle all the way through. Next, pull the yarn out from the back side. Leave about 5 centimeters of yarn at the back and pull the needle out. After pulling it out, follow the outline of the pattern and poke the needle down again. Push it all the way through, then gently pull it out again. Then, move about 3 to 4 squares along the pattern and push the needle all the way through again. When felting, make long, deep pokes going in and short, shallow pulls coming out. Long in means pushing the needle all the way through the fabric, while short out means pulling the needle out just enough, keeping it close to the fabric surface as you move forward. When you reach a corner, make sure to position the needle's opening facing the bend as you felt. During felting, use a long poke going in and a short pull coming out. If any areas become loose or you make a mistake, you can gently pull the yarn out to fix it. When pulling the yarn out, gently poke the hole to help it close up. Then, continue felting as usual. If you notice the back isn't fully secured during felting, check to make sure you're doing the long in, short out technique correctly. Make sure the needle's opening faces the direction you're working toward. Keep the yarn at the back short, about 0.5 centimeters. Leaving too much yarn on the back can cause it to become crowded and affect the overall look. So when you're felting, be sure to keep the yarn on the back side fairly short. If the yarn still doesn't catch properly, you can gently support it from the back with your hand. When felting, always poke the needle straight up and down, perpendicular to the fabric. Don't pull the yarn too tight. Keep the yarn at the back loose and relaxed. After felting the outer edge, continue working your way inward, felting from the outside toward the center. Once the outer circle is done, move to the inner circle and complete the felting there. This technique takes some practice, but once you get the hang of it, felting will become much easier and smoother. Always keep the needle's opening facing the direction you're working toward. You can rotate the embroidery hoop as needed to make felting easier along the direction you're following. What should we do with loose yarn like this? Don't worry. We'll use a needle to tidy it up later. After felting, use the fabric scissors from the kit to trim any excess yarn at the back. Then, turn the fabric over and gently pull out the trimmed yarn. Next, let me introduce another tool included in the kit. This is a tapestry needle. This tool is used for fixing small areas and repairing openings. Thread one end of the yarn through the needle's eye. Tie a knot at the yarn's end. And then begin embroidering. Start embroidering from the back side. This way, you can tidy up any loose yarn. Of course, this is just one method. If you're not satisfied with the result, you can pull the yarn out and redo the felting for the area. The second use of the tapestry needle is for embroidering smaller areas. Start by bringing the needle up from the back. This way, the yarn stays securely in place and won't come loose from the back. It's directly anchored to the fabric, making it more stable. If you find felting tricky at the beginning or your initial work doesn't turn out well, you can try using the tapestry needle instead. It might be easier for detailing or touch-ups. Now let's start felting Artist Portrait. Salvador Dali together. First, place the fabric into the embroidery hoop. Position the inner ring underneath the fabric, aligning the edge of the pattern with the edge of the inner ring. Then, press the outer ring over the top to secure the fabric in place. You can start by fitting one side of the fabric into the hoop first. Then gently pull the other two sides to tighten the fabric before pressing them into the hoop as well. Once the fabric is secured, you can adjust it so that the outer circle of the pattern aligns closely with the inner edge of the embroidery hoop. After it's properly aligned, you're ready to begin felting. When felting, work from the outside in and from small areas to larger ones. Outside in means starting with the outline of the design. Complete the outer edge first, then continue felting inward along the outline. From small to large means starting with the smaller details first, then moving on to the larger areas. For example, elements like the eyebrows or the drink can be added later in the process. Let's start by felting the eyes and mustache. Thread the brown yarn through the small hole at the top of the felting needle. Make sure the needle is held perpendicular to the fabric, and use the long in, short out technique as you work. Start by outlining the shape of the eyes, then fill them in completely. Once finished, pull the yarn through to the back. If the yarn accidentally comes loose, don't worry. You can simply redo the felting. Remember to always use the long in, short out technique. Insert the needle close to the fabric surface. When changing direction, feel free to rotate the embroidery hoop in whichever way feels most comfortable for you. Always keep the needle's opening facing forward in the direction you're working. Fill in the center of the mustache. Be sure to keep the yarn at the back loose as you felt. Once that's done, you can use the tapestry needle embroider smaller details like the straw and the hand holding the drink later on. Next, we'll felt the blush and nose areas. For the red blush parts, follow the same method. Start by outlining the red shapes. Then fill in the outlines completely. Be patient while felting and make sure to push the needle all the way through. If the yarn tends to pull out, you can gently support it from the back with your hand. Just be careful to avoid poking yourself. Using the long in, short out technique helps prevent the yarn from pulling out. Always make sure to push the needle all the way through. Next, use the camel-colored yarn to add details to the face. Start by outlining the shape. Then continue felting inward to fill the inner area completely. Select the cream-colored yarn for these parts. You can cover the straw area for now and add the white details of the drink later using embroidering. Later, you can add more details to the drink, like pearls or ice cubes, through embroidering. For now, fill in the white area completely. When felting the outer edge of the shirt, make sure to align the outer contour with the inner edge of the embroidery hoop so the fabric is securely held in place. Then proceed with the felting. When felting the outer edge, you can support the yarn from behind with your hand to keep it secure. Here, leave the outline of the arm unfilled. If you notice any raised or uneven areas, you can gently press them down later using the felting needle. This is a good way to make any touch-ups or repairs. For any spots you missed during felting, simply patch them up with a single embroider. Hold the yarn you just worked on from the back with your hand, and then carefully cut it off. Then, leave this area unfilled so that the outline of the sleeve remains open. At these tricky corners where the yarn might come loose, gently support the back with your hand to keep everything secure and prevent the yarn from pulling out. Leave the outlines at both ends of the arm open. Then fill in the inner area. Keep in mind, these two ends form the outline of the sleeves. After finishing the main part of Dali, next, we'll move on to embroidering the details, such as the eyebrows, sleeve outlines, and the edges of the drink. First, let's embroider the eyebrows. Thread the cream yarn through the tapestry needle. The color of the tapestry needle may vary, but the quality and how to use it are the same. Tie a knot at the end of the yarn, then embroider the eyebrows. Embroider the outline at the bottom of the drink. Then embroider the outline of the clothing. Be careful when using the needle to avoid disturbing or pulling on the threads you've already embroidered. Next, embroider any extra details you'd like on the drink, such as pearls or ice cubes. Feel free to customize the design as you like. It's totally fine to add more or less depending on your style. Next, we'll felt the yellow background along the outer edge. Adjust the fabric so that it lines up with the inner edge of the hoop. Then continue felting from there. Start embroidering from one end by outlining the shape first. When embroidering the outer edge, you can gently support the back with your hand to prevent the yarn from popping out. After outlining the shape, simply fill in the inner area. While embroidering, try to keep the spacing between each stitch even for a clean finish. Once the entire design is finished, you can make small adjustments to the details. For example, if some yarn ends are sticking out or look messy, gently press them down with the felting needle to tidy them up. If the eyes don't look round enough, you can use the brown yarn to fill and shape them. Later, refine the edges to make them look more even and circular. For any small areas you missed, you can also use the tapestry needle to fill them in. After finishing the embroidery, we'll stitch the straw of the drink using the tapestry needle. Once the straw is embroidered, the stitching part of the project is complete. If everything looks good, you can go ahead and sew the back of the embroidery hoop closed. Here, we'll use the tapestry needle to sew the back closed. And with that, your needle felting project is complete. Adjust the embroidery hoop so the front side is facing out. Then hang it up to display. Please note, after completing your embroidery, do not wash or pull on it too hard, as this can cause the threads to come loose. Handle it gently to keep your work intact. We can't wait to see your finished creations.